Once you have your forms created, so far we've done that using the wizard, but even then we've seen there are a few different types of form. You can then use your form to view, edit, and even delete the data. So instead of having to go back to the table, we can use our nice, creative, beautiful form that isn't showing us all the data at one go. For example, the FRM customers that we created is a column form, a single form, and it shows you one record at a time. We can then scroll through the data using navigation keys, find the record we wish to edit, and make the change. So it may be that this address type is not a home address, but a work address. And they might even have moved from East Brisbane to West Brisbane. So we simply click into the field that we wish to make the change to and make those changes. Now you will notice that the whole time you are editing a record, the little pencil mark appears here in the navigation bar. That indicates that we are currently editing this record, and any changes we make will not actually be saved to the database per se until we move from this particular record. So I'm currently looking at Jacqueline Suarez. The minute I move to another record, clicking next record or previous record, the changes that I was making are then committed to the table. Before that, I can always escape, as we did when we were working on the tables. So if I take Lou Curtis here and change him to West Brisbane, but then I change my mind, I simply press escape, top left of my keyboard, and that cancels out the change that I was currently doing in that particular record. So although it's not officially an undo, it's a cancel option. So it doesn't actually commit to the database until you leave the record, and until that stage you can effectively escape, so cancel what you're doing. So that's editing. Now bear in mind, when you are editing information through a form, you can only edit the data you can see. For example, if we look at the tab customers that we also created, here we can only see a minimal amount of information about each particular person in our customers table, and that is the only fields that I can edit. So I can only change their first name, their middle name, their last name, their email address, or their phone number. But just like in the singular form, if I were to click in and change somebody's information, let's perhaps, for example, go to Julio Ruiz and add him a middle name of a John. The minute I actually start editing some data in that record, the pencil mark appears. Now it's on a smaller area because the record selector is a much, much smaller area, but it's still there to indicate that I'm editing this record. So I finish entering his name and simply move to the next record for that change to take effect and be committed to the database. So I can use my forms to view data, to edit data, and even delete data. Now, depending on the form type that we are in, we simply need to select the current record that we wish to delete. So I may wish to get rid of Elizabeth Johnson. I select, using the record selector, that selects that one record, Elizabeth Johnson, and then I can press delete on the keyboard, and we'll see that the record has gone, very much like when you delete it from a table. But then I'm asked, am I sure really? Do I really want to delete that record? If I say yes, then it's gone forever. This is not an undoable action. If I say no, it's returned back to me, and we see Elizabeth Johnson back in the frame. Now, if we're dealing with a single form, so let's go back to FRM customers, that shows us a single record at a time, then we do what effectively is the same thing. We select the record by clicking on the record selector, a much bigger object in this case when we're dealing with a single form, and again, delete on the keyboard. The record goes. If I say yes, that deletion is committed to the database and that particular person is lost. If I say no, they are returned to me. Let's say yes this time, and that guy is gone forever. That is not an undoable action. Now, alternatively to selecting the records by clicking the record selector here on a single form or here on a continuous form, we can just be in a particular record, go up to the home ribbon and the records group, and you'll see there is a delete option, but it's grayed out. However, if you click the little drop down, we have the option within there to delete the record. So I choose that, and Ruben's gone. Yes to commit, no to undo. Well, yes, and he's gone as well. So in that particular case, there is no need to select the record with the record selector. You simply click into a field, come to delete, and in the drop list is delete record. So regardless of the form type, we can edit the data. Bear in mind, you can only edit the data you can see. So you can't edit every single field of a record because the form is not likely to display every single field. But we can delete the whole record regardless of how much of the data we can see. It still deletes that record from the table.